In a world filled with so much noise, so much division, it can really feel like looking down is the only option we have. But what if the way out is actually to look up? Well, commentator David Brooks thinks so. He's proposing a pretty old-fashioned antidote for our very modern problems: earnest, heartfelt admiration. So let's explore this upward gaze and see where it takes us. See, Brooks has this idea that our culture is kind of stuck in a moment of deep resentment. And this isn't just about being angry. It's more like this sour grapes attitude towards everything, a feeling that wants to tear down anything noble or inspiring. The philosopher Max Scheler called it a spiritual contraction. It's like we're poisoning ourselves, cutting ourselves off from the best parts of life.
So, what do you do about that? Well, here's the thing. You can't really argue someone out of that cynical crouch. Brooks says the antidote isn't a better fact sheet or winning a debate. It's an experience. It's an invitation to find something or someone so genuinely admirable that it just cracks right through that cynical shell and lets a little light in.
So here's the path we're going to take together. We'll start with this idea of admiration as a whole new way of seeing. Then we'll grab an ancient map from Plato, face a moral test with James Baldwin, and finally look at our own inner struggles to figure out what it really means to climb toward a better version of ourselves. Okay, first things first, we have to kind of rethink what admiration even is. For Brooks, it's way more than just a fleeting feeling. Think of it as a moral practice. It's about consciously looking at certain people, not just to say, hey, they're great, but as a way to become a certain kind of person yourself. Because who you choose to admire, well, that really shapes who you become. Now, to give this journey some structure, Brooks reaches way, way back, like 2,400 years back, to an idea from the philosopher Plato. It's this timeless blueprint for how admiration can actually fuel our growth. Plato called it the ladder of loves, and it's this fascinating idea about how our admiration naturally climbs upward. It might start with something really concrete, admiring a beautiful piece of art or a person's physical grace. But if you follow that spark, it leads you higher, to admiring a beautiful character, a truly noble soul. And that, in turn, can get you to fall in love with truth and wisdom, then the beauty of justice, and eventually you get a glimpse of this transcendent beauty behind it all. It's a journey that literally pulls the soul upward. So why dust off this ancient idea? Because it gives this whole thing a timeless classical structure. It grounds this very personal journey in some really deep philosophical soil. It shows us that admiration isn't just some random emotion. It can be a deliberate, structured climb toward what is good and true. But let's be real for a second. This beautiful idea of an upward climb, it's all well and good until it smacks headfirst into the brutal reality of hatred and injustice. What happens then? To answer that, Brooks turns to the writer James Baldwin, who gives us the ultimate moral test. Just let those words sink in. Think about it. James Baldwin was a man who faced unimaginable prejudice. He had every single right to be consumed by bitterness, every reason to give in to resentment. But he didn't. Instead, he held on with all his might to this radical, almost stubborn form of empathy. And this is a perfect example of what Brooks calls defiant humanism. This isn't some naive sunshine and rainbows view of the world. No, it is a conscious choice. It is a defiant act to see and uphold the humanity in other people, even and especially when they refuse to see it in you. It's using empathy as a form of resistance. So what does Baldwin really show us? He proves that true moral courage isn't born when things are easy. It's forged in fire. He shows us that our own humanity isn't something other people can just take away. It's something we choose to uphold defiantly. And that brings us from this huge societal struggle right down to the personal one that, let's face it, we all go through. When life brings us pain and suffering, what happens on the inside? For this inner drama, Brooks turns to the novelist and pastor Frederick Buechner. Buechner gives us this really crucial distinction. He said that suffering can either leave you broken or it can leave you broken open. Now, if you're just broken, you grow a callus. You build this thick, self-protective shell, you close yourself off from the world, and you get resentful. But if you allow yourself to be broken open, you let that pain carve you deeper. You stay vulnerable, you stay open, and you become capable of real, profound change and empathy. It's the difference between building a fortress around your heart or digging a well. So, how do we pull all these incredible ideas together? Well, we've got Plato's ladder, which is like our map for the climb. We've got Baldwin's defiant humanism, which is our moral compass when the storm hits. And we have Buechner's choice to be broken open, which becomes the very engine for our growth. They're basically our guides for the climb toward ourselves. And here's the most important part. Plato, Baldwin, and Buechner, they aren't just names in a history book. Brooks holds them up as exemplars. They're people whose lives, whose ideas are so compelling and inspiring that they just make us want to be better. They're the ones who light the path for our own climb. And so, the real invitation here isn't just to look at these incredible people from far away and say, wow, that's impressive. The invitation is to see their struggles, their insights, and their courage as rungs on a ladder that's available to every single one of us. And to find the courage right here and now in our own lives to take that first step up. So we'll leave you with this to think about. In a world that so often tells us to look down in cynicism, who do you choose to look up to? Who do you truly admire? And more importantly, what are they teaching you to see?